What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dripp Strick College Football Podcast. We talk about the greatest thing in the world, the universe, everything. College football, of course. And I have some sad but really good news. It is the first podcast of 2023.
Yeah.
But the last podcast of the 2022 to 2023 season.
Last recap and predictions.
Not the last podcast, last predictions video. We're going to talk about the national championship once it's played, which is tomorrow, which we're going to talk about also in this episode. But we've had a lot of great bowl games that have happened in the past couple of weeks, some fantastic games, and we're just going to dive right into it. Starting off with the greatest bowl of them all, we're talking about the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl, okay?
Man, that was awesome.
This game was played by the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers and the East Carolina Pirates. The final score was 53-29 East Carolina, but that's only because Grayson McCall got hurt. He got hurt in like the first quarter, I think, first or second quarter.
After a touchdown, he hit landed on his head wrong.
Yeah. It was bad.
It was rough.
It was rough, but he will be back until next year. He's decided to withdraw from the transfer portal and go to Coastal Carolina. One more ride, one more go round with the Chanticleers. And that's a great thing for Coastal Carolina because their other two backup quarterbacks, one of them just announced he's going to the transfer portal, and the other one is garbage. Jared Guest?
He's staying, and the other guy's going to the portal?
Yeah, Bryce Archie is going to the portal. I saw that. And I was
I remember Archie. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, dude, he came in for like 10 plays at the end or something.
Yeah, I think he had a touchdown drive though.
I think he scored it. No, he didn't. I think he did have a touchdown drive at the end.
Yeah, but he led him towards a touchdown.
Yeah,
I think the running back might have scored it, but yeah. Shout out to Archie.
He would have stayed. He would have started next year for Coastal Carolina if Grayson McCall was transferring, but he's not. So, this started off as a really good game. It did. Me and Austin were in attendance, and then East Carolina was like, I'm tired of this being close, and Holton Alhers, don't know how to say that name, played a fantastic game. 300 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns.
He's incredible.
He's incredible. He was really good. He was really good. And Coastal Carolina could not stop the run at all. They were so bad against the run. I mean, every single play was pretty much at least 5 yards for Keaton Mitchell. But a very good into the season for East Carolina and Coastal Carolina. Not how they wanted to end the season, but they overall have had a great season. So shout out Coastal Carolina and East Carolina. Let's see what they do next year.
I mean, that was a great game, man. Let me just say that was a fantastic game. Yeah, like you said, we were in attendance. We had a phenomenal time, man. But ECU came to play.
They did.
And, they were definitely the better team, man. They were 100% the better team. Coastal just couldn't keep up. Like you said, man, they were just driving down the field. Seemed like every play. I mean, they were just scoring at will. They dropped 53 points. That might have been the highest ever scored in the Birmingham Bowl, maybe. I'm not too sure, but I think so. But shout out to ECU. Huge win. One of the biggest wins in their entire franchise, man. Fantastic win for the ECU Pirates, man. Shout out. It was so fun, too. We were there. We were cold. Go check out the Birmingham Bowl vlog if you have not already. Fantastic. It was a whole lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. And let's go to the next game, man. That was a movie.
The next game is the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. This game was played between the number 15 Oregon Ducks versus the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, the North Carolina Tar Heels started this season off hot. I mean, Drake May was playing some amazing football. He played great quarterback, and he was really carrying this North Carolina team, and then they just all of a sudden hit the wall. Quarterback did not play good. Drake May stopped putting up his incredible numbers, and they lost 5 games, and they finished the year off 9-5, or they lost 4 games, and then they lost this bowl game. So they finished 9-5. Oregon won this game 28-27. Bo Nix played pretty good. Did not have the best game of the season by far. He's been putting up great numbers this year, but he had a good game. Drake May had a great game too. 3 passing touchdowns, and 206 passing yards. Bucky Irving from Oregon had 149 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He really led that Oregon Ducks offense down the field. So shout out him. But I will say, I'm surprised that Drake May hadn't entered the transfer portal yet. But North Carolina, they're going to have a great year next year. I believe it. I believe it with all my heart, my mind.
Yeah.
And Oregon will have a even better year this next year, and that's a fact. Bo Nix is coming back. He's going to be the Heisman next year. Bo Nix for Heisman next year. He should have stayed to Auburn, but it's whatever. But yeah, shout out Oregon, shout out North Carolina. Both are going to be really good next year.
Yeah, man, it was a great game. Bo Nix came to play. Drake May finally had a really good game, a big game. North Carolina losing their offensive coordinator. I forgot where he's going. Maybe like NC State or something. I'm not too sure. But yeah, shout out to both of these teams for phenomenal seasons, man. It was very fun watching both of these guys, Drake May and Bo Nix, go at it. Fun game. I forgot who I had to pick the game. I think I picked Oregon probably to win the game.
Yeah,
but phenomenal game. It was very fun. A lot of offense was played. And I mean, both teams aren't really known for their defense, but I mean, they didn't play bad defense either. But Bo Nix, man, he came to play. Obviously, you said he's staying, which is big. Drake May, they're trying to tamper and get Drake May, man. Alabama, I don't know who's doing it. Probably Alabama. That's what I'm thinking. But somebody's tampering, offering him millions of dollars to leave the Tar Heels. But I'm glad he's staying. He's staying committed. And shout out to Drake May. Big year next year for both of these teams. I think both of these teams next year have great years with Dan Lanning and Mac Brown holding it for the Tar Heels. So, I mean, fantastic game. A lot of great, just powerful offenses for both of these teams. It was a fun game.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I didn't get to watch it, but I watched some of the highlights, and it was fun to watch. The highlights were fun to watch. Also, shout out to John Copenhaver. He had 0 carries but 4 rushing yards.
Ain't adding up, man.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
That ain't adding up, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Next, we're going to be talking about the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. This was an even better game than the last one. The final score, or the game was played between Kansas and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Kansas had one of their better seasons of pretty much their entire existence, honestly.
Started off hot, like 10 years.
Yeah, that's for sure. They started off hot this year, and then Jalen Daniels got hurt, so then they kind of just hit a wall, especially after that TCU game where they lost against TCU. But the final score of this game was 55-53. Arkansas won this game in 3 overtimes. This was a fantastic game, but the big thing I want to talk about in this one is Jalen Daniels for Kansas is really good. He's really good at football. 544 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Now, Arkansas don't have a great defense. Let's be real. They don't have a great defense.
No.
And their offense relies way too much on KJ Jefferson. And this game, they decided to spread the ball out more, especially on the ground. KJ Jefferson did have most of the workload for this game, and that's probably how it's going to be next year too. But Jalen Daniels for Kansas, the Kansas Jayhawks, had a great game. And every game he's played in pretty much this year, he's played really good. So Kansas, I think they'll be fine next year. I think they'll be good. Arkansas, KJ Jefferson's coming back for one more year. And we'll see what happens with Arkansas. See if they can be contenders in the SEC. They were super hyped up coming into this year, and they kind of disappointed, finishing 7-6. But we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, dude, this was a fun game to watch just because we have been talking about Lawrence, Kansas all year. All year they had that big game against TCU, lost, and then everything went downhill for them since. I've been talking about Mr. Bean. I just looked, Mr. Bean's a senior, so I will no longer be talking about Mr. Bean. But it's about, man, Daniels, bro. Jaden Daniels holding it down. What was it, 545 yards, dude? Incredible.
Yeah.
I think that was his first game back since he got hurt, I think. Don't quote me on that, like maybe his second game back, but I mean, fantastic game. A lot of offense. Kendall Briles for Arkansas, their offensive coordinator. called a phenomenal game, had 53 points, third overtime. Both of these teams should really be proud of what they did. Arkansas definitely didn't have the season that they wanted, but they played a great game, and they ended up being victorious. I know they definitely didn't have the season they wanted. They had a great year last year, but Kendall Briles and Sam Pittman, I think they're going to cook up some stuff next year with the last year of KJ Jefferson. I don't think they're going to waste it. So yeah, shout out to big win for Arkansas. Good win.
Big win for Arkansas, and we're now going to be talking about the Valero Alamo Bowl, where this was a big win for the Washington Huskies as they win 27-20 over the Texas Longhorns. Texas, they started off another team that started off really good and kind of fell off, especially after that Alabama loss. They only lost to Alabama by 1 point in like week 3, and it kind of just hit a wall after that. That's also mostly because Quinn Ewers was hurt for a couple of weeks. But Quinn Ewers had a pretty good game, 369 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's really where their offense came from. I don't think, Bijan Robinson didn't play in this game. But the big thing out of this game is Michael Penix Jr. for Heisman next year. Put him in the top 3 for the Heisman next year. He's going to be really good next year. He's coming back one more year for the Washington Huskies. Feel like he's been playing college football forever, but he's coming back one more year.
Yeah, he really does.
And I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah. Man, I'm really glad you talked about Michael Penix Jr. because I was about to say the same thing, dude. Next year, I am so excited for him. He's going to be probably most people's top 5 for Heisman preseason. I mean, what a talent, man. He's got an arm. He can run out of the pocket and make big throws. And I predicted Washington to win this game. I watched most of this game. I knew Texas wasn't going to keep up with them. Quinn Ewers, I'd say, it was his first year starting. I'd say he had a pretty good year. They went 8-5 this year. I think they went 5-7 last year. And obviously he was at Ohio State last year. But I mean, Quinn Ewers, I think he'll start next year over Arch. I think they'll probably wait a year or two for Arch. But yeah, man, Quinn will be eligible for the draft next year, now that I think about it. So if he has another great year, he'll leave because he'll be very young going into the draft, and I feel like NFL guys will like that to see from him. But I think Texas is continually going to be great still. But yeah, both of these teams I think have a very bright future, especially next year for Washington. If they don't win their conference, I don't see it being a fantastic season for Washington, man. That's just Michael Penix Jr., man. What a talent, man. He's so good. Yeah, what a talent.
He's very good quarterback. And we're going to talk about the Cheez-It Bowl, where Jordan Travis is also a very good quarterback. And he'll definitely be in that Heisman race as well next year. This was also, like, when I told you at the beginning of this episode, when we have a lot of good games to talk about, we have a lot of good games to talk about.
Dude, yeah, we did, bro.
The final score for this one was 35-32. Florida State won this game. Really good game by Florida State offensively, one of their better offensive games, especially from Jordan Travis. 418 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. 1 interception, but he had a great game. For the Sooners, Dylan Gabriel played a mediocre game. He's been hurt for most of this year. 243 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. Most of their offense came from their 2 running backs, Javonte Barnes, who had 108 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown, and Gavin Sawchuk, he had 100 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Very good overall game from Florida State Seminoles. And Jordan Travis, definitely Heisman candidate for next year. Write it in stone. Quote me on that next year. But that's all I got to say about that game.
Yeah, man, phenomenal game from both teams. Oklahoma, they were 6-6 coming to this game, and they were playing a 9-3 Florida State. And I was thinking, I was like, who set this up? I mean, this probably will not end well. And Oklahoma came to play, man. Brent Venables had his guys ready to play. We've been talking about Oklahoma all year. First, I want to rewatch our first few episodes because we talked so good. Especially me, I talked so good about Oklahoma. I thought they were going to be so good, and then they ended up being so bad. Dylan Gabriel announced a few days ago that he's coming back to Oklahoma next year. That's something to be happy for. Oklahoma. Some Oklahoma fans were not very happy about that. I'm gonna be completely honest. Read some stuff about that.
But dude, I don't know why people hate on him.
Yeah,
I think he's good.
Man, Oklahoma fans, they're having a tough year this year with Lincoln Riley leaving, and then they get the Heisman, man.
They have one year where they don't have a Heisman quarterback, and they all freak out.
Yeah, I swear. But yeah, Jordan Travis, man, phenomenal season. That pass, I believe it was Johnny Wilson. I think it was the one-handed catch going down the field to kick that field goal at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Man, that was phenomenal. That was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, shout out to Florida State for pulling it off. Huge win for Jordan Travis and the Seminoles. Mike Norvell, what a turnaround year, man. 10-3 for Mike Norvell after an awful year last year. And man, great win for the Seminoles, man. That was impressive for real.
Fantastic win for the Seminoles and a great year for the Seminoles as well.
Yeah.
But next, we're going to be talking about the Capital One Orange Bowl. Now, this was unexpected. I was thinking that this game was going to be close. The game was played between Tennessee and Clemson, and it was not really close at all. The final score was 31-14. And Joe Milton III was quarterback for Tennessee in this game, and let me tell you, that dude can sling it. That dude, he chucks the ball so far, and he makes it look so effortless. He had 251 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He's going to be very good next year. Cade Klubnik, he had a pretty good game. 300. I wouldn't say it's pretty good. It's pretty mediocre. 320 passing yards, zero touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But to be fair, I feel like every play he was just running for his life, especially towards the end of the game. I mean, he was just running for his life out on the field. The Tennessee pass rush was just too much for that offensive line at Clemson. But Tennessee next year, a lot of people that think they're going to take some step backs. I think they're going to take some steps forward because Joe Milton can really throw the ball really, really good.
Okay.
Clemson, they got their future quarterback in Cade Klubnik. I believe it. Even though he didn't have a great game, this game doesn't define his career. He's going to have a great season next year and a great couple of seasons coming up. Great year for both of these teams. Final score was 31-14, by the way.
Yeah, man, I was and Cade made some freshman mistakes, but he'll clean that up next year, I think. But let me tell you, man, I was dead wrong about this pick. Dead wrong, I'll admit it. I said Clemson was going to win. I didn't think Joe Milton had the talent to win it, and dude, he just carved up that Clemson defense, man. Absolutely, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He carved up that Clemson defense, man. So, I mean, excellent win. That was a fun game to watch, man. The Orange Bowl with 2 orange teams. That would have been cool if they both wore their all orange jerseys.
Yeah.
That would have been hectic, man. But shout out to Tennessee. Josh Heupel, man. Just look for that name the next few years for Tennessee, man. I mean, he's just such an upcoming head coach, and he had a phenomenal season, man. And Tennessee's gonna be. You're right, man. They might take a step up next year, and if they do. If they get better than they were this year, man, that's scary. That's scary. You might be right, man. But Joe Milton, he looks great. Tennessee fans, really I'd be very excited for next year, man, because he did that against a good Clemson defense. So, Tennessee fans, I feel good for y'all. Y'all are fine.
Yeah, I think they'll be really good next year.
Yeah.
But next, we're gonna talk about the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Okay, this is basically this is the yearly. Notre Dame wins a mid-bowl game, and then they get ranked in the top 10 game. Notre Dame won this game against the South Carolina Gamecocks, 45-38. Tyler Buckner, he got benched or he got hurt against Marshall. One of those. He stopped playing when they lost to Marshall. They got upset by Marshall earlier in the season, and he comes back this game, throws 3 touchdowns, 274 passing yards, but also throws 3 interceptions. Couple of mistakes, but this was his 4th game this year or something that he's played in, something like that. So you can't, say he's like a horrible quarterback. Spencer Rattler only had 246 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. I really thought South Carolina was going to win this game. I mean, they beat Clemson. They destroyed Tennessee like a good Tennessee team. They destroyed them.
You're right.
And I thought South Carolina was going to win this game, but they didn't. Final score is 45-38. Notre Dame looked really good in this game, but I do not think Notre Dame will be good next year. Do not, please, if you're watching, whoever ranks does the rankings for college football and stuff, please please do not put Notre Dame in the top 10. Please. Do this every year, and then they lose to Marshall.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know, man. They probably won't put them in the top 10. But yeah, you never know. They do it almost all the year. Almost every year, man. Almost every year. But yeah, I didn't get to watch this game. I watched the last bit. I think I watched the fourth quarter, a little bit like the very end to watch. I saw Notre Dame score the final touchdown. But yeah, dude, huge win for Notre Dame to find out, man. They had to stop that very good South Carolina defense. And Notre Dame, I'm feeling very good for y'all because if you don't like Tyler Buchner, y'all got a new cat in town. Sam Hartman transferred to Notre Dame. Extremely excited about that. So y'all don't even have to worry about Tyler Buchner if y'all don't want to. Sam Hartman is playing his last year of college football in the Irish uniform. So shout out to Notre Dame. But yeah, I got to give Shane Beamer. I've been kind of critical on him, but he had a great year. And Spencer Rattler also had a great second half of the year. He struggled in the first half against the SEC, finding out about him, and then that second half of the season, he really had a bounce back season. So shout out to Spencer Rattler and Shane Beamer on a great season. And Notre Dame, y'all got Sam Hartman, man. Sam Hartman, legend.
He's going to carry them next year.
He is.
Next, we're going to talk about the All-State Sugar Bowl. This game was played between Alabama and Kansas State. And I just want to come out and say I was dead wrong about this. Like, I could not have been more wrong about this. The final score, I was like, Kansas is going to win this game. They're going to win by 40. But
come on, bro.
They must have been listening to our podcast. Nick Saban must have been listening to our podcast. Final score is 45-20 Alabama. Now, this game did start in Kansas State's favor. Deuce Vaughn had a big run at the start of the game, put them up, and then Alabama was like, remember what the Dripp Strick podcast said about us. And then Bryce Young threw 5 touchdown passes and 321 passing yards. Phenomenal game by Bryce Young. A great way to end his career at Alabama and in college football. And the Houston Texans are going to be set next year when they get him. That's all I got to say about this game.
Oh, my gosh, dude. Okay, listen, man. It was 10-0. Deuce Vaughn just had that 88-yard run. And I was a little worried. Little worried. And then Bryce Young comes out guns blazing, being the great quarterback that he is, best quarterback in college football. And just being Superman for him. Jahmyr Gibbs gets hot. They're doing big things, and Kansas State just can't keep up. They can't really match later in the game. They don't have the depth that Alabama has, even though a lot of guys entered the transfer portal and left. But dude, Alabama, man, don't pick against them, man. I don't know why you fell for the trap. This bowl game.
I thought
but everybody opted in to play. Everybody opted in to play. Next year, man, their big three left, man. They got Will Anderson leaving. They got Bryce Young leaving and Jahmyr Gibbs, man. All three of them are leaving. I don't know how they're going to be next year. They'll be good. Don't worry. They'll be very good. I'm just saying, they're losing their big three. They'll be they'll be amazing. They'll be amazing. But
the big question,
phenomenal win by the Crimson Tide.
The biggest question around Alabama next year is the quarterback. Jalen Milroe played a couple games this year and did not play good. Did not put up great numbers. Yeah. But they also have, I think he was a 5-star, Ty Simpson.
Yeah,
I think he was a 5-star. Yeah, he was a really good high school quarterback, waiting for his turn at Alabama. So it's either going to be Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe next year, unless they get a transfer, which I don't think will happen. But what I think happens is Ty Simpson wins the quarterback battle, and Jalen Milroe either switches to wide receiver or running back, and that's how that quarterback battle turns out. But next, I want to talk about the Real-Quest Bowl between the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Illinois Fighting Illy.
Let's go.
Mississippi State played this one for Mike Leach. Rest in peace. This was a pretty close game, pretty much throughout the entire game. Mississippi State. I'm gonna say a couple words about Mississippi State. Don't take it offensive or anything. But they started off very slow. Their offense looked super slow. They could not get anything going until the fourth quarter, where they scored 16 points, and that's all they needed to win the game. The final score was 19-10. I'm going to let you do the talking about this game, though.
Nah, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Our first half, we were awful. Fourth quarter, you said 16 points. Came to play, man. Stressful game. Very stressful game. It was hard having our one of our wide receiver. We have two wide receiver coaches. We don't now, but they're both gone. But we had two wide receiver coaches. One of them was calling our plays. Steve Spurrier Jr., Steve Spurrier's son. He was calling our offensive plays. Then we had our linebackers coach calling our defensive plays. So it was all hectic, man. And but yeah, we came out. One for Mike Leach, man. Phenomenal season. I said before the season, I told my brother if we don't win 8 games, it's a bad season for us because of all the talent we had that were staying. And we won 9. We went 9-3. Oh, no, not 9-4. Yeah, 9-4. And I'm very happy with this season. I'm very content, obviously, with all the stuff happening. It was going to be hard to win the game, with all the stuff going on, all the emotions. But Will Rogers, he stepped up when he needed to. He didn't play a phenomenal game by any span. He had 2 interceptions that were not good at all. They were both seemed to be one was batted and then intercepted. The other one was like an arm punt. It was an awful throw. I don't know what he was doing, but hey, he played good when it mattered most. And we got our running game in the fourth quarter going when it mattered most. So shout out Mississippi State. Is my last time talking about him after a win this year, man. I've got to talk to him about 9 wins, which I'm happy about. And good season for us. Yeah, man. Hail State, huge win. Huge win. Hail State. Let's go.
Huge win for Mississippi State, indeed. Now we're going to talk about the Rose Bowl game played between Penn State and the Utah Utes. Sean Clifford's last game. Thank goodness his last game as a Penn State Nittany Lion. And I just want to say something. Penn State had a really underrated season. They went 11-2, and no one ever talked about them. So shout out Penn State for going 11-2. But the final score of this game was 35-21, and I was dead wrong about this game too. I thought that Utah would beat Penn State. I thought it was going to be close, but I mean it was a 2-touchdown game. Sean Clifford had 279 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, admit he had a good game. He did have a good game.
As much as it pains me to say this, he had a good game.
Yeah,
but finally, the Sean Clifford era is over, and it is now the Drew Aller era. Penn State fans around the universe, world, whatever, are rejoicing. It's a great day. Nicholas Singleton had a great game as well, 120 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and a long of 87. So shout out Penn State. Had a really underrated season, and I think they'll be pretty good next year now that Sean Clifford is not their quarterback anymore.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah, Cam Rising got hurt, I believe, which that sucks. So I think that affected the game. But yeah, dude, Sean Clifford, man, he came to play. Drew Aller's a freshman. Nick Singleton, their running back, who had a phenomenal season. He's a freshman. So a lot of the uppity-ups for Penn State coming up in the future, the next few years for Sean Clifford. And not Sean Clifford, James Franklin. Sorry, James Franklin. And dude, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in the next few years. They have a bright future, and they had a great season this year. If you're a Penn State fan, y'all had a phenomenal year. I think their only 2 losses. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Michigan and Ohio State. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
But they had a phenomenal season this year. Like you said, they're not getting enough credit for what they did this year. And Drew Aller, he's a true freshman. Nick Singleton, their running back, is a freshman. So huge, bright future for them.
They're gonna be good.
Yeah.
But next, I want to talk about the best team in college football, and of course, we're talking about the Tulane Green Wave and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I was watching this at work at Field and Stream, and this was a great ending. Big old cherry on top for the Tulane Green Wave after their 12-2 season. Great season for the Tulane Green Wave, and for USC. Not the ending that they wanted, but they still had a really good year. And Caleb Williams threw 462 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. USC they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine. They're going to get some transfers. They're going to get some recruits coming in, and they're going to be all set for next year. Definitely put them as one of the contenders next year for the national championship. But Tulane played a great game. Tyjae Spears, their running back, had
Beast.
205 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. That dude's an animal. He's a beast. And Michael Pratt, I remember last year someone saying that in a couple of years he could be Heisman. But he had a pretty good game. He only completed 8 passes and had 234 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. But they won this game last second, 46-45. Great ending to the Tulane Green Waves season. And I'm excited to see what happens with them next year. I'm excited to see what happens with USC next year. So we'll see how all that plays out.
Yeah, dude, phenomenal game. I did not see this coming, man. I couldn't believe it. Lincoln Riley, he struggles to win big games. I mean, if it's a big game, he's going to find a way to lose it. I mean, he's really struggled any big game. Pac-12 championship, any game at Oklahoma, he would always lose the big ones like the bowl games, and then when they went to the playoff. But losing to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl, man, that's just crazy. And I got to say, they might really need to get rid of Alex Grinch, their defensive coordinator. He did not have a great year this year because they had so much talent on offense. They had Caleb Williams, man, the Heisman Trophy winner, and they lost to Tulane in the Cotton Bowl. Nah, man. But yeah, phenomenal game by Caleb Williams, man. 5 touchdowns, 462 yards. Phenomenal game by Caleb Williams. But dude, I gotta stop talking about USC. I gotta give it all to Tulane, man. Michael Pratt, Spears. I mean, phenomenal season. I think dude, what they're doing at Tulane, man, that's special over there, man. That's a special team, special season. They'll never forget that win. Biggest win ever in Tulane. They used to be in the SEC. I don't know if you know that.
Dude, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
So I mean, huge win for Tulane, man. Shout out to them, man. Shout out to Michael Pratt.
Take Missouri out of the SEC and put Tulane in, or take Vanderbilt out. I don't know actually. Keep Vanderbilt in. They boost our GPA.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
Next, I want to talk about the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. And this game was played between LSU and Purdue. And I just want to say, stop putting Purdue against SEC teams in a bowl game. Stop. It didn't work out too well for them in 2018. They got dismantled by a mediocre Auburn team. And now this year, they get destroyed by LSU. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. But they're rethinking their life choices because the final score of this game was 63-7. And they scored that 7 in garbage time in the fourth quarter. LSU won this game, obviously, but Garrett Nussmeier played good, 173 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Jaden Daniels played good, 139 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. Obviously, Jaden Daniels didn't play didn't play too much, but he's coming back next year. LSU is going to be a force in the SEC next year. I think they're going to be really good next year, and I think what's his face? The guy that's transferring, that was supposed to be their best receiver on LSU. Forgot his name.
Butte?
Kayshon Butte. Yeah, I think he's transferring. He was going to go to the NFL, or he was staying and then was going to go to the NFL, and then he's transferring now. But
dang.
But I still think they'll be fine. They got Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is a really good wide receiver, underrated wide receiver. But LSU next year is going to be really good, and please, for the sake of all Purdue fans and anyone that enjoys college football, stop putting Purdue against SEC teams. Even if it's like Missouri, they'll get blown out by Missouri. Stop. Just stop.
Yeah, I mean they had to freaking play Michigan in their conference championships. I mean, just it's I'm sorry for Purdue fans, but I'm not pulling up any stats for this game, man. It was awful. I don't know why. Yeah, if you watch this game with all those other games you could watch, I don't know why you're watching this game, honestly. I forgot who was playing at this time, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, it was 63-7. Are you serious?
Dude, come on, bro.
But shout out to Purdue, man. Shout out to Purdue. Aiden O'Connell. But I mean, I don't know, man. Malik Neighbors, former Mississippi State commit, is going to be great next year. Jalen Daniels is going to be great next year. Nussmeier, I guess he's going to be the backup. Maybe he's going to stay. But LSU's going to have a bright future, like you said, for next year, too. Brian Kelly in year 2 might even be even better. They might go to the SEC championship again. Who knows? But, yeah, just a blowout game, man. I don't have much to say.
Yeah, it was definitely not the best game on this list. at all. But now we're going to get into the playoff games. We're going to start off with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl played between Georgia and Ohio State, and this game was a lot closer than I was thinking. I was thinking that Georgia was going to walk up in here and destroy Ohio State, but that was not the case. The final score was 42-41, and Georgia's defense could not keep up with C.J. Stroud. He had 348 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Really great game by C.J. Stroud, trying to boost his draft stock. And Stetson Bennett also had a great game, 398 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. Stetson Bennett, he's a good quarterback, but to be fair, he's like 25 or something. He should be in the NFL, but he's not. But a very good game by both teams. This was a great game to watch. I was watching this in a PF Chang's. It was a very great game. And I'm excited to see the national championship game between Georgia and TCU, see how that turns out.
Yeah, man, let me tell you something, man. Before this game, after the Michigan-TCU game, they played first, and this game happened. But after the Michigan-TCU, I told everybody, we had some people watching the game, and I told them, I was like, man, this game might be a sleeper game. It might end up like 13-10. It might going to be just like that game was so good, and then this game is going to be slow, defensive base, not a lot of scoring, real slow. And I'm so glad I was wrong. Let me just say one thing. These 2 games right here might have been the 2 best playoff games ever.
Yeah. 100%.
The scoring was incredible on both of these games. C.J. Stroud came to play. Stetson freaking Bennett came to play in that fourth quarter, played phenomenal in that fourth quarter. I mean, lights out in that fourth quarter. And Georgia's going to the championship, man. I hate it for C.J. Stroud. Phenomenal career as college football, 2-time Heisman finalist. But dude, I love this game so much, man. And then just to end the game with that field goal. Oh man. I mean, when CJ Stroud had that huge run to get him in field goal range, I was like, okay, Ohio State just beat Georgia. Are you serious? And then they kicked that field goal, man. And let me just say, y'all don't be hating the kicker too much. Ryan Day did not put the kicker in a great spot to kick the ball at all. He didn't even try to get closer, or he didn't even try to get it in midfield to make it an easier kick. He made it very hard on the kicker, so it's not all the kicker's fault. Obviously, I know the kicker's got to make that, but Ryan Day, man, another big game he lost. Another big game. So I know Ohio State fans aren't very happy, but they played a phenomenal Georgia team, and they scored 41 points on Georgia. So shout out to the Ohio State for a great game. And thank you, Ohio State and Georgia, for a phenomenal game. Now Georgia's going to the national championship, man. I'm so excited.
Did you see that the Ohio State kicker, he missed the last second field goal, right when it was turning into 2023?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he kicked it with 3 seconds left.
Worst way to start 2023.
He missed it, man.
Worst way to start the new year.
But
yeah, I feel bad for him. A lot of people are hating on him, but I mean, he was not in a great position to kick that field goal.
No, not at all.
But next, we're going to talk about TCU and Michigan and the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. TCU won this game 51-45. They started off hot, finished hot. Great game all around by the TCU Horned Frogs. Every time TCU scored, Michigan would score, and every time Michigan would score, TCU would score. Yeah. It was just back and forth. A lot of points scored, but Michigan just could not get any stops on defense. They couldn't stop Max Duggan. They couldn't stop Amari DeMercado. They couldn't stop Quentin Johnston. And let me tell you, TCU is not full of a bunch of 5-stars. They're full of a bunch of just 3-stars, people you've never even heard of before, but they have some fantastic coaches. Sonny Dykes is a really good coach. He's coached these guys up to 13-1, and now they punched their ticket to the national championship. And I'm really excited to see how they play against Georgia. And I'm really pulling for them. I hope they win against Georgia. J.J. McCarthy did not have his best game. 2 interceptions, 2 passing touchdowns, 343 passing yards.
He kind of struggled.
Yeah, he did not play great in this game, but he's still young. It's his first year starting. He's going to be a junior next year. And I think him and Donovan Edwards next year are going to be 2 great players.
Yeah.
So just because he has one not great game does not define his career. I think they'll be just fine. Now, if Harbaugh leaves, different story.
Yeah.
Because he's considering going to the NFL. But I think they'll be fine next year. I think Donovan Edwards and J.J. McCarthy are going to be just fine. I think Michigan's going to be just fine. But very excited for TCU, man. I'm excited to watch that national championship. I hope it's a great game. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, me too, man. This game was phenomenal. That third quarter, I think, was the most points scored ever in college football playoff history for a quarter.
Yeah.
So phenomenal offense for both teams, man. Duggan fought his heart out. McCarthy fought his heart out. Michigan fans, y'all gotta be feeling good because y'all all three of the other playoff teams are losing their starting quarterback next year, and y'all are keeping y'all. So y'all gotta feel good about that. Just that statistic alone. And Max Duggan fought his heart out, man. Hopefully they Kendra Miller. Hopefully he can play in the national championship, one of their running backs for TCU. But yeah, Duggan, McCarthy just fought it out, man. Great offense on both teams. Donovan Edwards, phenomenal rushing game, dude. As a backup running back all season, doing the type of numbers he's put up has been absolutely phenomenal. So I mean, great game. Yeah, I was wrong. I think I picked Michigan. Yeah, I picked Michigan to go to the national championship as most people did. But TCU shocked the world, and I think they have one 5-star on their whole team or something like that. Stoney Dykes has done a phenomenal job this season. Garrett Riley, their offense coordinator, he needs to go coaching somewhere because he's done a phenomenal job all season, making Max Duggan a Heisman finalist. I think he got second place. So, I mean, phenomenal season by TCU, and they're going to the national championship game, man. That is exciting if you're a Horned Frog fan, man. So, shout out to TCU and Michigan. Y'all gotta, stop. Y'all gonna be good. Y'all keeping J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, y'all are fine. Y'all are good. So, yeah.
Yeah. The Michigan, you'll be fine. Very excited for TCU. And those two Max Duggan interceptions, by the way, were both dropped or tipped.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
By the wide receiver.
Exactly,
so,
yeah, both of them weren't his fault.
That stat I was talking about where the interceptions, if it hits the hands of the receiver, then it should be on the receiver. It should go. The stat should count towards the receiver, not the quarterback.
I think that's a valid argument.
Next, I want to talk about the actual national championship game. The ESPN matchup predictor says that Georgia has a 72% chance to win. But TCU has done nothing but prove everyone wrong. Pretty much every game this year. Very excited to watch this game. Both these teams have good offenses. They have great coaches. And I think as much as I am rooting for TCU and everything, I think Georgia's going to end up winning this game. Georgia only allows 12.8 points per game. And I think that's going to be the factor that helps them win. I think their defense is going to be the reason why they win this game. But TCU, I'm rooting for you, but I got to pick Georgia in this one.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you, man. I hate to pick TCU. I've been rooting for them all year, man. Phenomenal season from them. And but I got to go with Stetson Bennett, the hardcore veteran for that Georgia offense, and their standard is so high. Georgia's standard. Kirby Smart said after the game, after the Ohio State game, that he was not happy with how Stetson Bennett played, even though he had a phenomenal fourth quarter. Kirby Smart was still not satisfied at all. So I think that mindset is going to push him to win the game, man. And I think it's the biggest. It's the most favored national championship, I think, of all time. I think 2002 Miami, I forgot who Miami played that year, was number 2. Alabama, I think, was number 3 when they played Notre Dame. They beat them 49-0. I think it was the favorite, it was 10.5. So yeah, I think the biggest of all time. So just by that stat alone, I gotta pick Georgia, man. But yeah, I do hate it. I agree with you. Picking against TCU really does suck. I've had so much fun seeing all this stuff from them. They got a lot a lot of great transfers coming in, so hopefully that helps them for next season. Obviously, they're losing Duggan.
Yeah,
but, man, I'm picking Georgia. Our last prediction of the season.
Last
How does
prediction
it feel? This is sad.
of the season. I'm sad, but I'm excited for the future. Excited to make more predictions in the future. Maybe we predict some XFL and some USFL games. You never know. But extremely excited to watch this national championship game.
Yeah, let me just say, dude, I am so excited. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a national championship game. Obviously, you and I, our first year doing this podcast, so we've been keeping up with it. Probably the most. I know for me, the most I've ever kept up with college football. Is this year, 100%. So just have the final conclusion tomorrow night, dude. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, man.
Very excited. And I think that is all I got for this episode.
All right,
you got anything else?
Nah, let me just do the outro, man. Thank y'all so much for listening. If you are still watching, man, shout out, leave a like, subscribe, watch the Birmingham Bowl vlog, watch our predictions, watch our bowl predictions. Like the last episode, it was our first in-person podcast. Very fun time. Big things coming, man. Big things coming. Obviously, he's got the Dripp Strick hoodie on. I've got the hat on. Big things coming, man. But phenomenal season we've had. I've so much fun covering this season, man. It's been an absolute blast, and we're only going up from here, man. Big things coming, though. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Comment what you want to see this off season. If you want to see any guests, if you want to be a guest, if you're interested in being a guest, let us know. Comment what you think of this video and all the other podcasts. And yeah, man, you got anything?
I don't got anything else. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank y'all for watching. We really appreciate it. We love doing this, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.
See ya.